I didn't hear the plate shatter. I felt it. The sound came a second later, sharp and violent, splintering through the kitchen like a gunshot. But the feeling, the jolt in my chest, the way my breath snagged in my lungs, hit me first. Because of what she had just said. Because of the sentence that tore through 10 years of marriage like a blade. "You're not her real father," Emily said, voice low, steady, terrifyingly calm. "Stop pretending you are." For a heartbeat I thought I had misheard. Or hallucinated. Or fallen into some cruel prank from the universe. The world around me, our kitchen, the smell of garlic, the low buzz of the fridge, went silent. My hands slipped. The plate fell. Ceramic exploded across the tiles. And still I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. "You're not her real father." Our daughter's laughter, our daughter, still echoed faintly from her bedroom down the hallway. "Emily, what did you just say?" My voice scraped out, raw, barely recognizable. She didn't flinch. Didn't soften. Didn't show regret. Emily just leaned against the counter, arms crossed, face tight with something I couldn't name: anger? Fear? Disgust? Exhaustion? A combination of all of them. "You heard me, Mark," she said. "It's time you stop pretending." Pretending. The word stung like acid. Pretending that the little girl whose first steps I held her through, whose nightmares I chased away, whose hair I braided every morning before school because Emily always overslept. Pretending she was mine. My throat burned. "What are you talking about?" Emily sighed. As if she were annoyed. As if this conversation were an inconvenience. She didn't look at me, she looked past me. Like I was a stranger. A roommate. A problem. "She deserves the truth," Emily said. "And so do you." Truth. The truth. The yet unspoken truth that now hovered between us like a ticking bomb. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. My hands curled into fists without permission. My heart hammered so violently I thought it might burst. "Emily," I whispered. "Tell me this isn't what I think it is." Her eyes flicked to mine. And that was when I saw it. Not guilt. Not shame. Not fear. But resignation. Like she had been waiting for this moment for years. "Her father," Emily said, voice steady, "is someone else." The words were too heavy to comprehend. They crashed into me like waves but refused to settle. "Who?" I choked. She shook her head. "That doesn't matter." "It matters to me." "You don't want to know." "But I deserve to," I snapped, louder than I meant. A door creaked down the hallway, our daughter shifting in bed. That sound alone was enough to soften my voice, to cut through the storm in my chest with something primal and protective. "Emily." I tried again, quieter. "Please. Tell me." She pressed her lips together. A long silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Then, "Fine," she muttered. "It was someone I worked with. Years ago. Before I found out I was pregnant." The world tilted. I gripped the counter to keep myself from swaying. "A coworker." I repeated, stunned. "You had an affair." She didn't deny it. She didn't even blink. I felt something inside me tear, something old, something deep, something I didn't know had seams to rip apart. "And all this time," I whispered, "you let me believe she was mine." Emily's jaw flexed. "You acted like she was." "What does that even mean?" "It means," Emily snapped, "you took everything so seriously. Every tiny thing about being a father. Every decision. Every rule. Every bedtime. Every project. You smother her." "Stop," I said sharply. "Don't you dare twist this around." "I'm not twisting anything." "You're telling me," I said slowly, "that I'm not allowed to be upset that the daughter I've loved for 10 years isn't biologically mine." "She's still yours in the ways that matter," Emily said quickly. "Is she?" My voice cracked. "You just told me to stop pretending I'm her father." Emily looked away. And in that moment, I realized something horrifying. This wasn't a sudden confession. This wasn't guilt finally bubbling up. This was deliberate. Planned. Prepared. Emily didn't slip. She didn't panic. She didn't break under pressure. She wanted to tell me this. She needed to. Why? Why now? I asked, voice shaking. Why tell me this today? After all these years? Emily hesitated, barely, but enough for the air to thicken. There's never a good time, she said. That's not an answer. She sighed. Because things are changing. My pulse spiked. What things? She rubbed her forehead. I got a call. From him. The kitchen blurred. From him. From the man who was the biological father of my daughter. You stayed in contact with him? Not exactly. Emily. It was complicated. I laughed, an ugly, broken sound. Complicated. Right. He didn't know about her, she said defensively. I never told him. He found out recently. Someone mentioned something. A photo online. I don't know. A photo, I repeated flatly. Online. She wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly small, fragile, guilty, but not enough. And he wants what? I asked. To meet her. Emily swallowed hard. He wants to be in her life. A cold chill crawled up my spine. No, I said immediately. Absolutely not. You don't have a say, Emily shot back. The hell I don't. I've raised her. I've cared for her. She's not biologically yours, Emily said quietly. Legally, she isn't, either. The floor seemed to fall away. You wouldn't, I whispered. Emily's silence was answer enough. For a long moment, the kitchen filled only with the ticking of the wall clock and the blood pounding in my ears. I stared at her, my wife, the woman I had sworn to love and protect, unable to reconcile the person in front of me with the one I married. Finally, I managed to speak. I want a paternity test. Emily's head jerked up. Why? Because I need proof. Because I needed something solid to hold on to in this nightmare. Because a tiny part of me still hoped she was lying, lashing out, angry, irrational. Emily shook her head. It won't change anything. It might change everything. She stepped closer. Mark, don't do this. I stepped back. Don't you dare tell me what to do right now. Her expression hardened. Fine. If you want a test, get a test. But you need to prepare yourself for the result. Oh, I'm prepared, I said bitterly. I'm prepared for everything now. But I wasn't. Not even close. That night, I sat in our daughter's room long after she fell asleep. I watched her chest rise and fall. I watched the way she curled one hand under her cheek. I watched her tiny feet twitch as she dreamed. I watched the little person who had reshaped my entire world. My throat tightened so painfully it felt like a vice. Sweetheart, I whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I'm your dad. No test can change that. But doubt, cold, corrosive, monstrous, crept in. What if Emily was right? What if biology mattered more than love? What if the law saw me as nothing? What if this stranger, this man who had never changed a diaper, never stayed up for fevers, never held her through night terrors, had more rights to her than I did? I felt myself unraveling, breaking apart thread by thread. In the dark, my daughter stirred, whispering, Daddy. The word cracked me open. Yes, I whispered. I'm here. I stayed until sunrise. Then I got the test. When I brought the test home, Emily was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee and a phone she quickly set face down when I entered. She looked tense. Like she was waiting for something. Or someone. My stomach twisted. Let's do it, I said. Emily didn't argue. We followed the steps. Swabbed. Sealed. Documented. But before I could leave, Emily spoke. Mark, she said softly. You need to understand something. I shut the envelope. What now? She took a deep breath. No matter what the result says, things won't go back to how they were. Because you don't want them to, I said. Emily didn't deny it. She just looked at me, eyes glossy, conflicted, terrified. Everything is going to change, she whispered. For all of us. I paused in the doorway, suddenly sensing something else. Something bigger. Something she hadn't said yet. I turned slowly. "Emily," I said quietly. "What aren't you telling me?" Her lips parted. But the doorbell rang. A single, sharp chime. Emily flinched. I stared at her. She stared at the door. The silence between us thickened to suffocation. "Emily," I said, heart hammering, "who is that?" She didn't answer. Her eyes betrayed everything. Because she knew. Because she expected this. Because this wasn't just a confession. This was the beginning of something far worse. She reached for the door. My pulse roared. When she opened it, the world tilted. A man stood there. Tall. Confident. Nervous. Holding a folder. Holding his breath. Holding a smile that died the second he saw me. Emily swallowed. "Mark," she whispered. "This is him. The real father. And he wasn't here by accident. He was here for her. For my daughter. For our family. To take everything." The air didn't just turn cold, it froze. The man in the doorway shifted awkwardly, as if he wanted to step inside but wasn't sure whether he'd be welcomed or punched. His eyes kept flicking between me and Emily, assessing danger, calculating his next words. "Hi," he said finally, extending a hand I didn't take. "I'm Daniel." The name hit me harder than the introduction itself. I didn't know why. Maybe because it sounded so normal, so harmless, so devastatingly human. Proof that the man who'd helped shatter my world wasn't a monster with horns or fangs. Just a person. A man my wife had once chosen. Emily stood between us like a fault line, ready to crack the moment either of us breathed too loud. I stared at him. "What the hell are you doing here?" He exhaled. "I just want to talk." "No," I said. "You want something." His jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. Emily stepped forward quickly, palms raised. "Let's just stay calm. Please." "Calm?" I snapped. "You dropped a bomb on our marriage last night, and now your ex-boyfriend is standing in our doorway. You think I'm overreacting?" Daniel winced. Emily's face flushed. "I wasn't her boyfriend," he said quietly. "It was a mistake." 10 years ago, Emily muttered. My stomach twisted. "And yet here you are." Daniel swallowed. "Because I found out about her. About the little girl. I didn't know." I stepped closer, heat rising from every inch of my skin. "She's not your daughter." He flinched. Emily whispered, "Mark." "She's not," I repeated, voice fraying. "She has a father. Me." Daniel looked at Emily, then back at me. "Look. I don't want to cause trouble. I don't want to break up a family. His voice cracked. "I just want to know her." Silence. Long, thick, suffocating. Emily looked trapped. Daniel looked desperate. And I felt like I was falling through the floor. I pressed my palms into my eyes. "Not today. Not here. Not like this." Emily tugged Daniel back. "Maybe you should go." I had never seen her like that. Protective, nervous, uncertain. Of him. Or of me. Daniel hesitated. "Emily. Please." His shoulders sagged. He nodded once, then stepped backward, hands raised in surrender. Before leaving, he looked at me. "Mark. I respect what you've done. Truly. But if I'm her biological father, I have rights. And I'm not going away." My throat tightened. I wanted to scream. To hit him. To collapse. To drag the earth open and bury myself inside it. Instead, I closed the door silently. Emily turned toward me, and I saw something break in her expression. "This isn't what I wanted," she whispered. "But it's what you caused," I said. And for the first time, Emily didn't argue. The paternity test results arrived 3 days later. Those 3 days were torture, silent dinners, forced small talk, both of us tiptoeing around each other like fragile glass. Our daughter sensed the tension, clinging to me more than usual. Every time she hugged me, something inside me cracked. On the morning of the 3rd day, an email pinged into my inbox. Your results are ready. My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, unable to click. Emily appeared in the doorway, pale. Did it come? I nodded. My finger hovered over the trackpad. And then, before I could open the document, Emily spoke. Mark, before you see this, I need to tell you something. I froze. Another secret. Emily, I whispered. I can't take any more. This is important, she insisted, voice trembling. I should have told you earlier. I was afraid. My hand dropped away from the computer. Tell me. She inhaled slowly, bracing herself. The affair, she said softly, it didn't happen like you think. I stared. She looked at the floor. It wasn't ongoing. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't emotional. My pulse thudded. Hard. Loud. Like a drum inside my skull. Then what the hell was it? I demanded. She swallowed. It was one night. I stepped back. One night, I repeated bitterly, that created a child. Tears lined her eyes. I didn't know I was pregnant until weeks later. I convinced myself it had to be yours. I wanted it to be yours. I prayed it was yours. Why didn't you tell me? Because I fell in love with you again, she whispered. You were everything I wanted in a husband and a father. I was terrified of losing you. Her voice cracked, and she covered her mouth. She wasn't lying, at least not in that moment. I could see the regret clawing its way up her throat. The shame. The fear. But regret wasn't enough to glue broken glass together. I shook my head. Emily, you didn't give me a chance. You made a choice for me. I know, she whispered. And I'll regret it forever. Silence. Then. Mark, she breathed, whatever the result says. I need you to know, you're her dad. In every way that counts. That sentence. God. It nearly killed me. I turned back to the laptop. My finger trembled as I clicked the PDF. The words blurred at first, swimming through my tears. Then they sharpened. Probability of paternity. 0%. My vision collapsed inward. Everything fell silent. Everything fell apart. Emily gasped. I sat down, legs weak, chest burning. The room spun around me like a collapsing universe. She wasn't mine. Not biologically. Not genetically. Not legally. A decade of fatherhood, every memory, every smile, every hug, suddenly felt like someone else's story. Emily covered her mouth, sobbing. Mark. I'm sorry. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I stared at the screen until the words blurred again. 0%. 0. Nothing. I felt hollow. I felt dead. I felt like 10 years of my life had been carved out of me with a knife. After a long, suffocating silence, Emily finally asked, "What are you thinking?" And I told her the truth. "I'm thinking," I whispered, "that everything in my life has been a lie." The next hours blurred together, muffled arguments, apologies I couldn't hear, explanations I couldn't process. Emily kept trying to get close, to touch me, to talk to me. I couldn't look at her. Every time I did, I saw 10 years of betrayal reflected back at me. I sat on the edge of our bed for what felt like hours, staring at the crack in the wall. And then, soft footsteps. Small hands. Our daughter climbed onto my lap, sleepy-eyed, confused. "Daddy," she mumbled, curling against my chest. "What's wrong?" The question tore through me like barbed wire. She didn't know. She didn't understand. She had no part in this. She was innocent. Completely innocent. I wrapped my arms around her, hard, desperate, terrified of losing her. "I'm okay," I whispered, voice breaking. "Daddy's okay." And in that moment, one truth anchored itself inside me. I loved her. No test could erase that. But the world, the law, her biological father, they didn't care about love. They cared about blood. And blood was something I didn't have. That evening, Daniel showed up again. I didn't let him inside. We talked on the porch, the air cold enough to sting. He looked nervous, guilty, even. He shoved his hands deep in his jacket pockets. I got the same results, he said quietly. I'm the father. My jaw tightened. Congratulations. He flinched. I know this is hard. I can't imagine what you're going through. No, I said sharply. You can't. He nodded, accepting it. Then he said something that shocked me. I don't want to take her from you. I froze. I'm not trying to replace you, he continued. I know what you are to her. I know what you mean. I blinked at him, stunned. He lifted his hands. I swear to you, Mark, I'm not the enemy. I almost laughed. You're the reason I'm living a nightmare. His face tightened with pain. I know. And I'm sorry. Truly. But I didn't know she existed. Silence. Wind rustled the leaves. A dog barked in the distance. Then he said softly, I just want to meet her. Slowly. Respectfully. With you involved. I don't want to break your family. My heart hammered so hard I felt it in my throat. Because I had expected the worst. I had expected a threat. A lawsuit. A father's rights battle. But instead, this man stood in front of me offering something I didn't expect. Compromise. Understanding. Maybe even empathy. I didn't forgive him. I wasn't sure I ever could. But I saw the sincerity in his eyes. The fear. The hope. I don't know if I can do this, I admitted. I'm not asking you to decide today. He stepped backward, giving me space. Just think about what's best for her, he said softly. Not for you. Not for Emily. For her. Then he left. And for the first time in days, I felt something shift inside me. Not peace. Not acceptance. But clarity. That night, I made a decision. A painful one. A complicated one. But the right one. I sat Emily down at the kitchen table, the same space where she'd shattered my world. I'm not leaving, I said quietly. Emily burst into tears, nodding frantically. Thank God. Mark, But I'm not staying for you. Her face fell. I swallowed hard. I'm staying for her. For our daughter. Because she needs stability. She needs both of us, whatever we are now. Emily wiped her eyes. What does that mean for us? I inhaled sharply. It means we rebuild. Slowly. Carefully. Honestly. No more secrets. No more lies. She nodded, tears streaming. And Daniel? She asked. I hesitated. This was the hardest part. He gets to meet her, I said eventually. Gradually. Supervised. With boundaries. Emily swallowed. Are you sure? No, I admitted. But I'm doing it anyway. Because our daughter deserved the full truth. Because love, real love, was messy, painful, unglamorous. Because being a father wasn't about DNA. It was about choice. And I was choosing her. Always. Months passed. Slowly, achingly, we rebuilt a new version of our family. Not perfect. Not traditional. Not simple. Emily and I saw a counselor. We learned to communicate again. To confront wounds. To let anger breathe instead of letting it rot inside us. Daniel became a presence, not a threat. He visited once a week, short, gentle meetings where he slowly built trust. Our daughter was confused at first. Curious. Shy. But children have a capacity for acceptance adults often lose. She liked him. And surprisingly, I didn't hate him. Not anymore. One evening, after a meeting, Daniel paused at the door. She's lucky, he said softly. For what? I asked. To have two fathers who love her enough to put their pain aside. I didn't answer. But the words stayed with me. The twist came 3 months later. A letter. Official. Heavy. Legal. At first, my hands trembled as I opened it. Terrified Daniel had changed his mind. Wanted custody. Wanted more. But inside was something else entirely. A petition. Signed by Daniel. Voluntary. Unprompted. He wanted to legally share guardianship with me. Not replace me. not override me, not diminish me. He wanted to anchor me into her life permanently, to protect me, to protect her, to make sure no one, not even the law, could erase me from her world. I stared at the document for minutes before I understood what it meant. Emily gasped behind me. Mark, he's giving you legal fatherhood. He doesn't have to. He wants you there. I sank into a chair, overwhelmed. For the first time in months. I cried. Not from heartbreak. Not from rage. But from relief. From gratitude. From love. Emily wrapped her arms around me from behind, sobbing into my shoulder. I held the papers in my hand like a lifeline. A promise. A second chance. In the end, the betrayal didn't destroy us. It transformed us. Pain became truth. Truth became healing. Healing became something stronger than before. A fractured family didn't break apart. It rearranged itself. And I learned something I should have known all along. Fatherhood isn't defined by DNA. It's defined by devotion. By presence. By choice. My wife betrayed me. Life betrayed me. Reality betrayed me. But love. Love didn't. Love rebuilt us. And I would choose her. My daughter. Every day. Every lifetime. Every version of me that exists. Because she is mine. Not by blood. But by something greater. By bond.